Hey, what's up, card fighters? So I wanted to profile my updated post set 8, post February 10th? February 10th ban list, Magnolia Elder deck. I actually took this deck to versus games Oviedo locals pretty recently, like last week. You should check them out. Really great locals. They let me record, and they're like the managers are like really like cool, nice, chill. So yeah, but I decided to take this deck because when this deck first came out during set 4 meta, like set 5 meta, I never really got a chance to play it because I didn't have the, what's it called? I didn't have this promo card, which you actually like really needed it because it worked really well with like your inlet pulse interactions and just really well against like the control decks that are just trying to like pop your board or like bind your board. And I didn't have that card at that time, so like I never really like tried to play the deck like locally or like even more competitively. So now that it's like unrestricted, I wanted to like pilot the deck myself personally and see like does it still hold up to the test of time, or is like the metagame like so fast or like too powerful that it kind of like surpassed Magnolia Elder. But let's get into the deck profile first. Let's get into the deck profile first. So let me put these guys right here. And obviously we're running the grade 1 and the grade 2 zombie of the Zorga ride line. It's just like the best ride line in Stoicheia currently. Like, I'm really not impressed by current Stoicheia ride lines. They're just like so much worse than this ride line that just requires you to play broken normal order cards versus like, oh, I get tokens, then like, oh, you want to play that in the token deck, but you know, like I guess like the new ride line for what's it called, for Maelstrom's pretty okay, but this is just like the most superior ride line in Stoicheia. So we're playing 6 orders in total, 2 copies of Wild Intelligence, and then 4 copies of Frozen Resentment. This just helped like it is a foolish burial plus like a monster reborn in one card just for a soul blast. Like sure, the unit you call doesn't gain power. That doesn't really matter. And then like you obviously play Wild Intelligence. I only play 2 Wild Intelligence because ideally I only want to use it one time, and that's on turn 3. To whereas like I could have it like mill 3 cards, but it's gonna be like a soul charge, which is gonna get me like two free cards on board basically. But this is the order count I was rocking with. I did ask one of my resident Magnolia Elder players, at least like he did play Magnolia Elder at full power, Ed the Crimson, so shout out to you. He told me like the 6 order ratio like felt like the best and cleanest ratio for him, so that's the main reason why I only went on 6 orders. But let's get into the rest of the deck. So 4 copies of Magnolia Elder. This is, obvious. This is the whole deck. You want to obviously keep rewriting him because every time you rewrite him, especially with like Inlet Pulse, it just kind of becomes like a +2. Because you get a free guy on board, and then that guy just kind of converts into a card in your hand, or like that guy's just like free shield on board, and then he also has triple drive, which like he keeps. So like after turn 4, like he literally just becomes like a +1, generating that extra card advantage into your hand. And then 4 of his baby girl, 4 copies of Inlet Pulse. Obviously, these 2 card interaction is why Inlet Pulse did get restricted from this deck, but now it's unrestricted. And honestly, after playing that deck like 4 rounds, like 4 rounds of locals, I did realize one thing. You go through your deck so fast, you do not want to play draw triggers. There's multiple occasions where like I was too close to decking out for comfort, or I actually did deck out and lose that match because I did deck out. So we did take out the draw triggers from this list, and it kind of holds up, but it doesn't hold up in a way to whereas the deck feels like this is still tier 1, and this is just still widely better than like what the other playing fields are using. It does still feel good, a little bit broken in what it does, but it feels like slightly slower than what the normal average decks are doing now, in my opinion at least. Play 4 copies of Panthero. He just helps you generate free board in like scenarios to whereas you're up against decks that do control board or do like pop up board. So this is just very helpful to like help you like keep / generate your board. Which I did face a deck that did control my board. I was placing against Ed's Flagbird control, or like flagship control, which we did like kind of like father that deck together. But yeah, like he just beat me. One of the games he just beat me because like he was just able to like control my board like so like heavy handedly that like I just kind of like I was able to stay in the game, but like I essentially just decked out. And then 4 copies of the Green Fox. Like I said, this promo with Inlet Pulse really works well. It works with your whole deck, just like essentially making this like an untargetable like unit that like control decks just can't get rid of this. So you're always just gonna have like a 23k beat stick from the back row. And then we're getting on to the 2-ofs. For the 2-ofs, I ran 2 of Gnosla, and I ran 2 of the new card from set 7, 2 of Alpine. I really like Alpine in the deck. I never really used its secondary ability to get a counter charge or a soul charge, even though there was times that like I actually did have all my counterblast face down. But it never really felt like I needed the counter charge or I needed the soul charge. I just preferably used it as like a big beater or like a beat stick. Because, you know, you have a full field. I think this guy, like, he swings like 30 by himself if you have a full field. Yeah? Yeah, because like 2, 2, 2, and then he's 50. Yeah, he swings 30 by himself. And then obviously Gnosla is just like, literally just like football. You just you pass the power. You pass the, like, you know, especially if you do check the over trigger, you know, you just go 100 million, another Gnosla 100 million, and then 100 million to your regular unit. I am not playing it at multiple copies. I thought about it. But the most you do want to have on board, at least the way I felt, was that I wanted to have like 2 on board on max. And I can just like dump this from my deck with Frozen Resentment. Or like I can just revive it from the drop zone with Frozen Resentment or Wild Intelligence, which I did do a bunch. So yeah, that is the reason why I am only playing 2. But I'm getting on to the triggers and the PGs. Obviously, we're only running 4 DPGs just because we can't play the Blitz Order PG because our Vanguard does have triple drive, at least when we do get into the Magnolia Elder. And then 1 of the Stoicheia over trigger. Really not much to talk about here. This is like one of the better over triggers in the game, and like I said, especially if you do have Gnosla on board, the fact that you could just pass the 100 million around like it's like a football essentially is just like very broken, and it just can win you games outright. And then for front triggers, I feel like front trigger is just like really good in this deck, especially because you do have the triple drive access. Most of the time, whether your opponent likes it or not, they're either going to no guard. You more often than not attack first with the Elder. They're either going to no guard the Elder or they're going to 2 to pass the Elder because it's always just swinging for 13, which they know you have triple drive, and like that gives you a greater chance of breaking that 15k shield. But at the same time, like, it's probably the cheapest guard that they'll have the whole turn, so they just kind of have to do it even though they hate it. So that's where fronts just come in like really clutch in this deck. I feel like fronts are just like slightly better in this deck than crits, even though we do still run the crits. Crits are just still really good in this deck, but fronts just help you get that extra power on board. Speaking of crits, we play 4 of the vanilla crit, and then 3 more vanilla crits, and then 4 vanilla heals. Now the reason that we are running 7 vanilla crits instead of the effect crits never really came up, and they felt more of like a hindrance than a help, because ideally you're never boosting with this deck. Like you're the only like cards that you might boost with are the zeros or your PGs, but ideally you're never boosting with this deck. You want everything on board to be an attacker essentially. So it's better that this just makes it a sexier number with your Magnolia Elder, the 5Ks, instead of the 4K. The only 4K I'm running is the front trigger, but the front trigger is just like 20k shield, which is very valuable in this deck because you do have to make it to your turn 4 before you actually start like, not like snowballing, but before you actually start like becoming steadfast in your like advantage on your Elder turn, because that's really when you get the ball rolling, is when you ride Elder. But I think this deck is still good. I don't think it's the best deck in the format at all. I don't think it's even tier 1 in my opinion. I don't think it's tier 1 anymore. I think it's like gone down to the tier 2 category. But, you know, in the future, it quite possibly could go back to tier 1. Because I know it's getting support in either set 9 or set 10. That it's getting, like, really good general Magnolia support that Elder can abuse. Even though they have supported the original Persona Ride Magnolia more than Magnolia Elder. There's just, like, some generic cards that, like, Bushiroad's just, like... You know, they were trying to move away from triple drive, but at the same time, they realized certain archetypes kind of just still need the triple drive, or they're just bad. Like, Grade 3 Magnolia, like, I like the idea, but it's copium. Like, I think that deck is just bad. Like, when you have cocaine, like, I'm not gonna smoke your skunk weed, is basically what I'm saying. But, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys. You want this mat? We are selling this mat on the channel. $25 a piece. We accept PayPal, Cash App. If you want one of these, plus shipping and handling, of course, please DM us on Facebook through Facebook Messenger or email us on our email. All the information is going to be in the description. And also, I am giving away one of these. There's a giveaway happening at the end of this week, which I'm probably going to do on Sunday. That's when I'm going to do my discussion video. Probably going to do it at the end of the discussion video on Sunday. But there is a giveaway happening. And you guys wanting to know the details of the giveaway, you have to go to my Chaos deck profile, and the details to the giveaway are in the Chaos deck profile. I'll be checking the comments at the end of the week on Sunday, either Sunday or Monday, and I will be raffling off a winner of one of these mats. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But anyways, guys, later.